I hopped in the shower and warmed my soaked bones. I stood there for ages appreciating the warm torrent. On this trip I wanted to try and get into a daily routine with certain things. For one, I wanted to write every day, at least 500 words, Hemingway's daily amount. I wanted to also try and read every day, just to give me an idea of what good storytelling really is. I also wanted to meditate each day, using a Vipassana method, concentrating on my breath and trying to feel it pass my upper lip. Before each meditation session, I wished to do a series of stretching exercises called the 5 Tibetan Rites. Apparently these exercises, very similar to yoga, were devised by Tibetan monks and have a positive effect on longevity and health. I'm also hoping they'll keep me limber after long days in the saddle. I also decided I would limit my alcohol intake to 2 drinks, enough to have a round with someone without being rude. I mean, a pub is the centre of the universe in outback Australia. If you don't visit them, you miss out on so much of the culture. Maybe I'll change that to 4 light beers. I'll see how things go. So far my plans hadn't worked so well, but having a wet afternoon indoors, I finally got the chance to do my exercises and meditation, even if it was only for 20 minutes. I've stuck to the writing part, finding I could get 500 words out pretty quickly, an hour or 2. The reading part hadn't gone so well, my Kindle hidden somewhere in the bottom of my pack. After my exercises I went into the empty bar and chatted with the barmaid. A woman came in and the barmaid asked her if she could check her sister's house, an old converted church. Apparently some ghosts of young children were wreaking havoc. I asked the woman how she became a local ghost catcher. She clammed up, wary of discussing such things. The barmaid, on the other hand, was happy to reveal that the 1855 built pub had its own ghost, a woman called Vera, the wife of an old owner. Apparently on certain nights when the jukebox was on, the song would jump and change to Vera's song. I didn't find out what Vera's song was as the wary ghost catcher dragged the barmaid to the other end of the bar to talk in hushed tones. I had dinner at the pub that night with a guy called Lindsay who was walking the Great South West Trail. The walk starts in Portland and in an anti-clockwise direction goes through several forest areas along the Glenelg riverbank to Nelson, then back again along the coast to Portland. It sounded pretty amazing and Lindsay had that reflective manner of a hiker, of someone who'd had a lot of time to think. I asked him why he was doing the walk and he told me it gave him a chance to escape all the bullshit, the news, the media. I told him an easy way to escape that is just to turn the TV off. But he was alluding to something more, a change in Australian culture. He told me of a book he liked, Shantaram by Gregory David Roberts. It is a book I also loved, a boy's own adventure through the Australian prison system to the slums of India and the fighting fields of Afghanistan. He said he remembered a line in Shantaram. The measure of a civilised society is the number of rules it has. He then went off on a tirade about camping fees on the Great South West Trail, 26 a night, minimum 4-night stay. The hotel was 45 for a single, so I can understand his displeasure. I asked the cook if my fish was local caught. She told me the hotel can't serve fresh fish without some licence. Lindsay and I both agreed. Australia was becoming too restrictive, too many bloody laws. I went into the bar and tried to strike up a conversation with some locals. There was one guy in particular who looked like your classic Aussie character, long grey beard, long hair, and a hat that looked as though it hadn't left his head since Jesus was a pup. Jimmy Grassseed was keen on camping and bikes, so we got talking about packing light. If an item doesn't have 2 uses, ditch it, he said, as he swilled another gulp from his initialed pewter mug. Talk then turned to hunting. Apparently the area boasted deer, goats and pigs, all released from local farms into the surrounding parks. With a rifle you could live off the land here, mate, said one animated local. The next morning my gear was still all slightly damp. Damn, I'll just have to find some remote windy place and hang it all out to air. I kept all my electrical stuff wrapped in thick plastic bags, a trick I'd learnt sailing the Caribbean where salt water gets in and erodes everything. I set off towards Port Macdonald. It was a glorious day and I was happy to be back on the road. I'd heard of a little restaurant called Periwinkles that had made a name for itself serving rock lobster to Chinese tourists. Port Macdonald is a lobster fishing port and apparently Periwinkles was mentioned in a Chinese blog, which led to an influx of Chinese tourists happy to pay the $190 a kilo retail. I myself settled for some local boarfish, washed down with a mango beer, after learning the cheapest lobster portion available cost $72. The owner told me most of the local lobster was shipped off to China, with periwinkles being one of the few local places to stock it.